Hey guys, my dad works at Anki, and I know what I'm talking about. Miyamoto. Directly from the Anki manual. Decks are designed to divide your content up into broad categories that you wish to study separately, such as English, geography, and so on. You may be tempted to create lots of little decks to keep your content organized, such as My Grandpa Book Chapter 1 or Food Verbs, but this is not recommended. Lots of little decks may mean you end up seeing cards in a recognizable order. This makes it easier to answer the cards as you can guess them from the context, which leads to weaker memories. So if you use decks as if they were folders, you have context. The context is the deck that you clicked on to study. When you study a deck, for example, N1 vocabulary, your brain is set to anticipate N1 vocabulary, and this gives you an advantage that you wouldn't have in the real world. In the real world, if you were to come across any random word, which could or could not be an N1 vocabulary item, you won't know which deck the word is from. Simply knowing which deck you are studying gives you an advantage that you don't have in the real world. So how should you organize your decks? You shouldn't. Well, let's say you are using Anki to study Japanese. You should have one deck. By having just one deck for the entire subject, cards can be presented in a random order with no deck context as they would be in the real world. You never know what category a card is. As you can see here, I have two decks for Japanese. The top deck is for words I want to study immediately, and after they're studied, they're moved to the Japanese deck. I haven't used this top deck in months and will end up deleting it in the future as I probably will never use it again. Organization of cards best comes from tags. Again, directly from the Anki manual. Instead of creating lots of little decks, it's a better idea to use tags and or fields to classify your content. Tags are a useful way to boost search results, find specific content, and keep your collection organized. There are many ways of using tags effectively, and thinking in advance about how you want to use them will help you decide what will work best for you. Some people prefer using decks and subdecks to keep their cards organized, but using tags has a big advantage over decks for that. You can add several tags to a single note, but a single card can only belong to one deck, which makes tags a more powerful and flexible categorization system than decks in most cases. You can also organize tags in trees in the same way as you can do for decks. For example, instead of creating a food verbs deck, you could add those cards to your main deck for language study and tag the cards with food and verb. Since each card can have multiple tags, you can do things like search for all verbs or all food related vocabulary or all verbs that are related to food. You can't do that if it's in a deck. So I tag my cards as the folder tree they would be in if they were in folders. For example, had this card been in a folder or a deck, it would have been nested like this. Japanese, I would click on Japanese. N1, I'd click on N1. N1 vocabulary, I click on N1 vocabulary. And then it would be all my N1 vocabulary. So the tags are Japanese, N1, and then N1 vocabulary. This actually makes organizing and searching more efficient and simple because I can click on any of these individual tags and see all the cards in that category quickly. Or I can click on 2 and then see all the cards that have those 2 categories, or 3 or 4. So to sum up this video in one sentence, use one deck per subject. If you use Anki to study Japanese, have one Japanese deck. If you use Anki to study medical things, have all your medical subjects and cards in one deck. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to pinch the subscribe button, and let's get this video to 10 likes.